so. Then we get to that chain of things that God does.
I onda dolazimo do ovog redoslijeda koji Bog radi.
And the one that gets all the discussion is he predestined.
I puno rasprave oko ove riječi on je predvidio, odnosno predodredio.
But notice that the first one is not predestined. The first one is those whom God foreknew.
Ali prva riječ je Bog je predvidio.
What does it mean to foreknow?
Što znači predvidjeti?
God knows something about you beforehand.
Bog zna nešto o nama već unaprijed.
If God is who we think he is, God knows everything about you beforehand.
Ako je Bog taj koji jest, on zna sve o tebi.
I see God as outside of time.
Ja vidim Boga izvan vremena.
There is discussion in theology as to whether God is outside of time, but I think God is outside of time, and so he sees the future, he sees the past, he sees everything.
Teolozi raspravljaju o tome da li je Bog izvan vremena, ali ja mislim da je, tako da vidi i prošlost, i sadašnjost, i budućnost.
And so I think the idea here is that God, before creation, God knew you.
Dakle, mislim da je tu ideja da nas je Bog poznavao i prije stvaranja svijeta.
He knew what you were going to do that was good and what you were going to do that was bad.
I znao je i što ćeš činiti dobro i loše.
I don't think that means he made you do the good things or the bad things. He just knew what they were.
To ne znači da te on natjerao da činiš jedno i drugo, nego je jednostavno znao što će biti.
Is anybody here from a Calvinist church, a Reformed church?
Da li je neko iz kalvinističke ili reformirane crkve ovdje?
There are churches that would say, Reformed churches would say, Calvinist churches would say, God determines everything you're going to do before you do it. And so you don't really have any choice, you don't really have any free will in it.
Znači, reformirane crkve koje slijede Kalvinovu nauku će reći da je Bog predodredio sve što radiš, tako da nemaš zapravo slobodnu volju.
I do not believe that, but there are some Christians who believe that.
Ja to ne vjerujem, ali neke grane kršćanstva tako vjeruju.
So foreknowledge, God knew you, and God knew that you were going to belong to him.
Predznanje je to da te je Bog poznavao i znao je da ćeš pripadati njemu.
God knew that you were going to be in a covenant relationship with him.
Znao je da ćeš ući u savez s njim.
Those whom he foreknew, he predestined to be conformed to the likeness of his son.
I onda je takve i predodredio da se suobliči slici njegova sina.
Predestined is the idea that before you were here, God had already determined what he was going to do in your life and what he was going to give you in your life so that you could be faithful.
Predodređenje je ideja da je Bog već predvidio što će učiniti sa tvojim životom, tako da možeš biti vjeran.
So that you could be obedient.
Da možeš biti poslušan.
So that you could do the work that he wanted you to do.
Da možeš učiniti ono što je on zamislio.
So you could use the spiritual gifts that he was going to give you.
Da možeš koristiti darove koje ti je dao.
So you would have the friends and the influences in your life that you needed to pull you along the path that he wanted you to walk.
I da ti je dao prijatelje i ljude koji će utjecati na tebe da ideš pravim putem.
God sees all of this and God decides all of this before you're even born.
Bog vidi sve to i odlučuje sve to prije nego što si rođen.
This person is going to belong to me.
Ta osoba će pripadati meni.
God says.
Bog kaže.
This person is going to belong to me, therefore I'm going to give him all the faithfulness, all the obedience, all the wisdom that he is going to need to be the man I want him to be.
I zato ću mu dati svu vjernost i mudrost koja mu treba da postane što ja želim.
And so we show up in this life and God has already provided for us the things that we need to live the life he wants us to live.
I tako da mi se pojavimo u ovom životu, a Bog je već providio stvari za nas koje nam trebaju.
It's kind of like buying furniture from IKEA.
Recimo kao kad kupujete u Ikei.
Right? It's like IKEA.
Poput Ikea.
You open the box, everything is there.
Otvoriš kutiju i sve je unutra.
If you open the box and everything's not there, you take it back because they messed up.
Ako nešto fali, onda im vratiš.
That's a joke, but it's kind of the same idea.
Ali to je slična ideja.
We'll talk more about salvation, about predestination when we get into chapters 9, 10, and 11 next week.
Više ćemo govoriti o tome u poglavljima 9 do 11.
And there you have the idea of the dispute between Calvin and Luther. Does God predestine people to go to hell and other people to be saved? And that's really where you find that is 9, 10, and 11.
I tamo imate raspravu između Kalvina i Lutera, da li Bog predodređuje ljude za spasenje i za uništenje i tako dalje. I thought, to me, your view is very deterministic. In my view, there's a lot more cooperation between us and God.
Yeah. I haven't finished.
Yeah.
I haven't finished.
A meni se činilo da je, po mom mišljenju, njegov pogled je vrlo deterministički određen. Ja smatram da je puno više suradnje između nas i Boga, da li ćemo nešto ili nećemo nešto.
Yeah, this is a preview of next week.
Ali evo, ovo mi je sad za sljedeći tjedan.
What Luther said was,
Luther je rekao,
God determines who is going to be saved.
Bog određuje tko će biti spašen.
Individuals, and he selects individuals who are going to be saved.
I izabire pojedince.
And he just doesn't make any choice regarding the others.
A druge ostavlja na miru.
Their future is undetermined, and so they just go the way naturally, and they end up going to hell.
Oni nisu predodređeni i oni idu svojim putem i završavaju u paklu.
And of course, that's an oversimplification, but that's basically what Luther said.
To je malo prepojednostavljeno, ali u osnovi tako Luther je govorio.
Calvin said, no, God knows beforehand the people who are going to belong to him and the people that are not going to belong to him, and he sends both of them on their paths.
Calvin je rekao, ne, Bog zna unaprijed tko će njemu pripasti, tko neće, i onda ih šalje tim putem. Armenije,
and John Wesley, who came after Arminius,
i John Wesley, koji dolazi puno kasnije,
said,
rekli su,
God makes a determination, but his determination is not specific to people, his determination is generic.
Bog predodređuje, ali ne konkretno ljude, nego općenito.
And so what God does, according to Arminius and John Wesley, is
Znači, to se zove arminianizam.
God puts the offer out there for everybody.
Bog stavlja ponudu pred svakoga.
And the offer is open to anyone who will respond.
I ta ponuda je otvorena svakome, ovisno hoće li ju prihvatiti ili ne.
And then God's foreknowledge is everyone who is going to respond to this, I'm going to give them what they need.
A Božje predznanje je u tome da svako tko odgovori na njegovu ponudu, da će mu dati što mu treba.
I don't think that quite, I prefer that view.
Meni se sviđa taj pogled.
But I don't think it quite does justice to the idea that God thoroughly and intimately knows us and knows our lives before we live them.
Ali mislim da ne objašnjava dovoljno da Bog u stvari u potpunosti poznaje nas i naše živote prije nego što ćemo ih živjeti.
So when you say that it sounds deterministic, I don't think it's deterministic. I don't think it's deterministic because it's not based on God making decisions for us. It's based on God knowing what decisions we're going to make.